Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Secretary, how are you doing?
So far, so good.
Okay, I was just curious because I know Elon Musk body checked you at the White House. No animosity to Elon Musk, right?
You know that?
That's what I heard.
So you believe
That's what I heard.
You believe what you read on Breitbart is
well,
what
listen,
you're telling us, Congressman.
I didn't know if it's too sensitive for you. I won't ask that question, but let me move on.
I will take South Carolina over South Africa any day.
Mr. Secretary.
Secretary Bessent, where did she go wrong in her statement?
Well, first of all, I would fire the staffer who did that chart because it stopped in February 2025, and prices are down substantially since then. But that's an inconvenient truth. Secondly, the S&P, if the Congresswoman would care to check Bloomberg, the stock market, as judged by the S&P, which is the most widely held index by American 401ks, is up on the year. Up.
It is up month by month. But
No.
Excuse me, ma'am. It's my time.
And we don't interrupt. Excuse me, we don't interrupt is what I was learned. Since January 1st, it is my business for 40 years to know what the stock market does, and it is up on the year. So,
Thank you for that clarification.
we have seen since January 20th that the stock market overall has gone down 1.3%, and gas has gone up.
ma'am, that's incorrect.
Excuse me. Let me get something straight with you first here. I've seen you interrupt everyone. When you come to someone's house, you respect their rules. And in this house, we don't interrupt individuals. And you're not going to interrupt my time. I'm going to give you time to respond. You may want to jot down some notes about things that you don't agree with me on so that you can respond to them at that time. But while I'm speaking, as the person holding this time, you will refrain from speaking, sir, until I am done.
I look forward to
until I am
responding.
done, and then I will give you time to speak, okay?
Look forward to the facts.
Thank you. I'll look forward to your response, whether they're factual or incorrect either. Now, one of the things that I noticed that the president, our present president, has said that he
You know, the economic outlook of the United States has soured a bit since President Trump assumed office. We've gone from record lows in unemployment, historic growth, and lowering inflation to unprecedented trade wars, volatile markets, and low consumer sentiment. And for the record, Mr. Chairman, I would like to enter surveys from consumers from the University of Michigan, a trade war impacting the shipping economy, and the OECD article on the downward turn in economic turn in the U.S.
Without objection.
Thank you. This is only made worse by the Republicans' big, ugly bill and the administration's proposed budget. I have a few items I want to raise with you, Mr. Secretary, but given our limited time, I want to focus on the projected impact of the reconciliation legislation. Economists from the CBO, the JCT, the University of Pennsylvania, Yale University, the Committee for Responsible Budget, and the Bipartisan Policy Center have all projected that this legislation will add trillions of dollars to our national debt. Experts have also projected that close to 16 million Americans will lose access to their health care, and 11 million Americans will lose access to nutrition benefits. These figures aren't coming from Democratic talking points. They're coming from economic experts with years of expertise. Yet, Mr. Secretary, you have time and again gone public and said that you dispute these claims. I believe you're a very intelligent and very competent individual. You're a Yale graduate, an adjunct professor, served as the managing partner of the George Soros Fund Management Office in London, and led Key Square Capital Management, a global hedge fund, and you're a billionaire. So the question I have is, why is it that you seem intent on disavowing any and all expert opinions that are inconvenient to your political agenda? Unfortunately, it strikes me that you are hell-bent on ignoring the warnings of any independent expert whose opinions may not serve your goals. When you worked in finance and your analyst told you that a proposal was a bad idea, I suspect that you listened to your analysis and didn't just accept the deal because the person proposing it said they were wrong and that their deal was a good deal. That would be wrong, it would be irresponsible, and it would be dangerous. I would submit that in the position that you have now, it is even worse. It's more wrong, it's more irresponsible, and it's more dangerous. Mr. Secretary, can you point to one independent study, one study performed by an expert PhD economist who is not on the payroll of this administration that says that this legislation will not add to our national debt?
Well, Congressman,
Yes or no? Can you point to one?
if we want to look at the CBO, which
No, I'm asking you, is
we
there an independent expert that you can point to that says that this bill will not add to our national debt? Yes or no?
yes,
There is?
yes,
What are they?
Art Laffer,
Pardon me?
Art Laffer.
Art Laffer? Great. That, I don't think that one counts. Mr. Secretary, did the 2001 Bush tax cuts add to our debt?
Sorry?
Did the 2001 Bush tax cuts add to our debt? Yes or no?
Again, Congressman.
Yes or no?
I think it's important to look at framing here.
Okay,
One
I'm
thing
reclaiming my time. It's
one
clear that
thing
you're not going to answer the questions that are asked. And let me make it real simple for you. The Bush tax cuts added to the debt. The second round of Bush tax cuts added to our national debt. The last Trump tax cuts added to our national debt. And every expert will tell you that the proposed Trump tax cuts will also add to our national debt. That is the honest answer, and I would have expected you could have just given us a yes or no on whether or not these preposterous tax cuts that will benefit clearly the most wealthy people, the people who don't need a tax cut in this environment, will add to our national debt. This is bad public policy, it's bad for the American taxpayers, it's bad for our economy, and it's atrocious for our future in regard to the national debt, and I yield back.
Mr. Maury, recognized.
Thank you, Chairman. Secretary Bessent, thank you for being here. Thank you for also clarifying some of the perils of Pillar 2. This is a tough discussion. To be able to push back on what Pillar 2 could ultimately do, where we are losing so much revenue to foreign countries. That's the exact opposite of what took place in the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act, where companies through the foreign-derived intangible income was actually encouraged to invest back in the U.S. And we haven't seen the type of inversions that took place during many of the Obama years prior to 2017. Companies are repatriating their revenue and they're repatriating their support back into the U.S., and we're going to continue to do that. Sir, again, thank you for being here. There's no question that there are billions of dollars worth of waste within the federal government, and I applaud the work that the department is doing to address, in particular, improper payments and improve verification before payments go out. Those are sensible, very bipartisan opportunities that we can address here, and thank you for putting a lot of focus on that. I represent Ogden, Utah, and the 7,000 IRS employees that work in and call Utah home. In talking to my constituents, many of whom are federal employees with decades of experience, I found that they want to be part of improving efficiency at the IRS. They know their jobs better than any of us, and I'm concerned that the on-the-job experience is not being utilized to its potential. Very simple. Sir, we've had some amazing opportunities to interact, and I've appreciated all of that with you and your team. Can we continue? Can we sit down you and your team and discuss the specifics of the Ogden facility and how I and the Utahns I represent can participate in increasing efficiency at the IRS?
Congressman Moore, I appreciate our past interactions, and my staff and I would be happy to do that. And what I will tell you is that we are aiming for a culture change at the IRS. We have empowered, we are cutting waste. There is a 35-year-old, maybe close to your age.
I wish.
The tech update where we are spending $3.5 billion per year, which is 10 times more than a private sector bank would spend for the equivalent payments. And what we are finding is that the hardworking people, as you described in Ogden, are feeling empowered, and that's what we want them to do. We want them to provide the solutions, not for the solutions to be provided from up high.
I've walked through the systems with them, taken tours and stuff. They're excited about the particular technological improvements that we can make, and your investment and your focus on that is much appreciated. So, okay, with my remaining few minutes, let's try to correct some of the fallacies we've been hearing about the One Big Beautiful Bill and its effect, in particular, on national debt, something that I'm very passionate about. Correct me if I'm wrong on any of these statistics. Since World War II, the average annual real GDP growth rate sits at approximately 3.15%. In the last 10 years, even with COVID, the average is still at approximately 2.5%.
Yes, sir.
Those are the facts that I have here. The bill that the House Republicans passed assumes a 2.6% growth rate, and that would generate $2.6 trillion over the next 10 years. With the spending cuts, historic spending cuts that we've done, ranging in about 1.6 cuts and otherwise other offsets, that assumed growth rate is enough to offset the tax cuts provided to the middle class through this bill. In fact, it will actually reduce the deficit by an assumed $184 billion. Some quick yes or no's on those numbers. Do you think that with President Trump's deregulatory policies coupled with the tax policies of the One Big Beautiful Bill, that this 2.6% growth rate is possible to achieve?
I think it is possible, and we achieved it under President Trump's first term, and I think we could easily see it over the 10-year window at an average.
And do you think it's possible that we could actually exceed a conservative 2.6% rate?
Yes, sir. I believe that given this gigantic AI spend that we're seeing, that the productivity increases from that may hit the U.S. economy within the next 12 to 24 months and could accelerate our GDP growth.
Accelerated GDP growth, and do you think that my colleagues from the minority party are correct when they say that the bill will add trillions of dollars to the national debt?
I believe that they are mistaken.
Just to close here, it is not unfair for my colleagues on the Democrat side to use CBO scoring in any type of criticism. I did it with the CBO scoring of the American Rescue Plan. I just wish we could keep the argument to where it should be. We are assuming what I believe is a reasonable 2.6% growth rate. The CBO's taking a lower percent. That's great. I think they're wrong in this case. And I think they always undervalue the potential that we have and the reality that we have from this type of economic growth policies. We have not seen revenues tank or dip since 2017 when we enacted these. We have an opportunity here to create a strong GDP, and that is the most important factor to being able to go and get after our debt to GDP ratio. Sir, thank you so much for the clarifications, and I yield back.